This video might be a follow-up to, well, to the last one I did, where I kind of remind myself of what I'm actually working on and maybe what parts I'm using. Um, a good example of this is the turbocharged motor I'm building to put into the Roadster, and I want to go over where I got this. I believe where I got this block. I either got it from Eric Hardingsley of Lake Charles, or Ryan Frederick of Gonzales. Both of them are really nice guys and helped me out with this. This block turned out to be 80 thousandths over already. So basically, all I've done with it is hone it out and put in pistons that I already had, which were 80 thousandths over. It's a funny metric size that I run. They're special made pistons by Ross. My pistons are right now they're at line to line being coated with a coating that's going to wear in. Uh, they did let me know that they do have them, but they haven't done anything with them, I guess. The other thing I wanted to kind of go over was the valves in here are 1.6 on both intake and exhaust. These are stainless Chevrolet style, whatever you want to call them, valves. It's a bunch of used valves that I had. You can see there's one a little different than the rest. These valves in particular come from Harry Sterneman. We went to St. Louis, Missouri and picked up a bunch of parts from Harry, and this is just a small, part of it. But anyway, these valves were in their not streamliner, their Lakeshore that went over 210 at Bonneville, and so I'm reusing them. One of them was messed up because the valve seat came out in the block, and still went 207. I do have that block, but it needs some work. Another thing I did on this block, this is where I drilled through the from the bottom. I drilled through the front main and actually run a little line out here. This is more both a place where I'll check the oil pressure and get oil feed for the turbocharger. And another thing is, you can see I put some little notches on the block. Just made it a little bit easier to check the valve lash. I've gone through the valve lash on this particular motor probably 4 times now. Um, Finding good lifters, finding lifters that I like the screws on. Some of those adjusting screws, which I lost now, the heads on them were too short. This is not one in particular. This one's fine. The screw's kind of long, but there were some other ones that were the screw head was short and the screw itself was shorter. I just didn't like them. So what I did was I put the motor all together, set the valves, cleaned everything up, took it back apart, measured the overall height of the assembled. Well, I don't have one. Oh, there you go. Of the assembled, in other words, the distance from here to here, and measured that distance. Took them apart, put blue Loctite on them, put them back together, put them all back together in the motor. And then I had a little bit of a problem with the Loctite getting on the bore of the lifter bore, and took it all back apart again, cleaned them off real well, reassembled everything, put it back together, cleaned the block. And that's actually when I put the notches in the block. So cleaned it again, put them all back together, and then checked the valve lash on every one of them again. And now it's pretty much done deal. Well, this camshaft is a Potvin camshaft that I spent a good bit of time getting it degreed in and everything. I got that from Ronnie Senji and Bonnie. I hope I pronounced that correctly. In, I think, Connecticut. I got that cam a few years ago and just hadn't really tried it yet. We'll see what happens with that. This block has been modified to have an external oil filter system. From what I understand, it filters most of the oil. Let's see. As far as the girdle support and everything, we're just going to run this one again. This is the middle main cap. That's a little setup from Speedway. we had this motor in the car already, running a supercharger, and I mean, I was shifting it right at 6,000, I think, and it was revving to 6,500, and it's been staying together so far. It's got a scat 4 1/4 crankshaft, but the whole assembly's balanced and everything, but still, that seems to be working. Um, this is an MSD copy right now, Chinese copy, but I do have a real MSD over there somewhere. I'll put that on here when I get ready to run it. This is, like I showed in the last video, the little device I made to be able to adjust the timing and hold down the distributor. Since the heads are these Tony Barron heads, and they don't have anything incorporated into them to hold the distributor in place. Those heads have really worked well for us with as far as holding, not blowing out and not leaking water into the cylinders. I did have a little problem with that, but I think we mitigated that. It was another issue. I'd have to turn the block over. But anyway, I think that's pretty much everything on this block. It has some porting done to it. You can see maybe through here, but it's got a little bit cleaner path on the intakes and the exhaust, but nothing real exotic. In the past, I built a couple of motors where I ran some I think 1.7 intake inch valve, 1.7 inch diameter intake valves, and 1.625 exhaust. They were almost touching, and really, I don't think that was a good idea. It just made the thing can't blow that much to begin with, and then secondly, the valves just are heavier. It doesn't really, it's a diminishing returns, I guess is the best way to describe it. I think this 1.6 and 1.6 combination is plenty enough. I think Harry and Jack Sternman kind of proved that with it was actually a turbocharged Lakester that they ran those speeds with. On this one, I'm running single valve springs with a little spring pack, or whatever you want to call it. These little spacers here, I have 4 of them. They're, I don't know what, I don't remember. I don't remember what height I'm shooting for, or what pound, but it's a little bit higher than what might be considered, well, a little higher than stock for sure. So anyway, that's pretty much all the details in this block. The spark plugs are a combination of some cheap Chinese stuff that's 10 millimeters, and then a couple of them are Ford Racing. These couple that have a different 45-degree boot on them, that's going to be to clear some of the turbocharger manifolds and stuff. So, and then one of them, I actually sharpened it up and put it back together. I don't know. Gonna see how this works out. They've worked okay in the past. I got labels on both ends. So hopefully we can keep them straight. That's extremely cheap insurance, and these little things here are like $10. Let's see. Mostly Amazon stuff, I guess. This and this plug wires and the little things. Anyway, that's today's update. This is the end of December 2024.